글로벌 투자 시장, 특히 미국과 유럽의 벤처 캐피탈은 스타트업에게 기회의 땅이기도 하지만 도전의 영역이기도 합니다. 오늘 함께 하실 패널 분들은 미국과 유럽 VC 시장에서 풍부한 경험과 인사이트를 보유한 전문가 분들이십니다. Let's welcome Laurent Reins, Shaun, and Morgan Cha to the stage with a round of applause. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Hi everyone. Thank you for being here in the middle of lunchtime. Yeah. Welcome to our session. How to convince overseas VCs in US and Europe. I'm Morgan Cha, today's moderator. I work at Futureplay, a Korean VC, where I help Korean startups connect with big companies and explore global opportunities. My focus is on creating collaborations and helping founders take their businesses beyond Korea. And in today's global startup world, having a great idea is not enough. You need to pitch it well and build trust with investors. They are looking for specific things, and we are here today to dive into what those are. And we'll talk about how to present market traction and craft killer pitch and more. The goal is to give you the practical tips for global fundraising success. So let's get started with a panel introduction. For today's session, we have two fantastic speakers. Laurent Reins from Alchemist Accelerator, who will cover US market, and Shaun from Goodthings, who will share insights on European market. So, Shaun, are you guys good to go? Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely.
So,
let's go.
Laurent, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you, Morgan. My name is Laurent Reins. I'm a managing director at Alchemist Accelerator. And we do pre-seed investments. We do about 60 a year. Right now, approximately 40% of those are international. And we're moving towards a scale-up or growth fund exclusively focused on US market entry. In that capacity, I work with startups from around the world. I've spoken with many startups from South Korea. And I'm super looking forward to this discussion with Morgan, who's a good friend.
And Shaun, please.
Yeah, thank you. 안녕하세요. Hi guys. So Goodthings, we're an investor. We're based in London. It's an honor to share the stage. And really looking forward to it. So we invest in Korean startups, funnily enough, at this point in time. So anything from kind of Series A before Series A. Look, we started this because we really wanted to help people in terms of looking forwards to going global from Korea. I just want to be helpful at the end of the day. So that's us.
I'm excited to hear your expertise and experience. So let's jump into the questions. I'd like to start with selecting or evaluating. So first question, what key factors do US and European VCs look for when evaluating founders and their teams? Of course, you cannot represent all investors in your region, but there are differences between the continents. It's true. So from your perspective, we can get some valuable hints to better understand both markets. So Laurent, you go first.
One of the things that we really look for is that the founder knows who the customer is and can talk to the customer all day long. So I'm really looking for that founder's ability, that they have an especially good reason there may be an expert in the field. Somebody will pick up their phone call, will open their email, will look at a YouTube video by them because they're an expert and they can position themselves that way. That's what I really look for over the university they may have gone to, over awards they may have won, or anything like that.
Shaun, so what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think to this point, for founders, I don't think there's too much of a difference between the two continents. But something that we really look forward to is finding good people. I mean, it's very hard to evaluate who's a good person or not. It never is. But yeah, I mean, things like experience, what have they done? Why are they doing this? I think is a key thing. If they're able to articulate exactly why they're doing what they're doing, and why they're sitting in front of us and trying to get us to invest into them, I think that's key. I think the ability to also speak and articulate what they're doing, as well as what kind of team do they build. I think you'll agree that building a great team is the key to everything of building a startup. So yeah, it'd be those types of things.
Nobody can make success in business, all along. We need teams. And then I'd like to ask you, what kind of founders or teams, do you want to avoid when meeting foreign entrepreneurs? Because it could help to our founders or to be founders, who willing to, who preparing, for global expansion.
From the Silicon Valley perspective, it's if you weren't able to make things work in South Korea, trying to come to Silicon Valley you're going to get killed. And so I'm looking for people that they could get a couple of different POCs from distinct clients in South Korea. There's evidence of traction and some momentum going that they can have in their home country. Because as hard as it is to start a business here, the competition is more intense. There's more people from all over the world that are coming in. I think probably London is that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. What kind of founders do we want to avoid? I think founders with a big ego. They're not humble enough to either take on advice, or that's not even advice of us necessarily, but the advice of the team or any other advisors that might have really good ideas. I think also people, look, I think you'll agree, Laurent, we come into contact with tens of hundreds of startups, and if you can't be bothered to email or follow up and see what's going on and to push the investor, I don't think you're able to do that to your business. So yeah, those types of people.
Totally agree with that. Just the amount of follow-up and hunger. If I don't feel like there's hunger and that there's a passion there, it doesn't make sense to me. I want to feel that passion and feel this person is not going to stop. So that's the one. I will go for egos sometimes.
Okay.
But if I could feel there's enough there.
There's two different perspectives for the ego. Ego as a founder who want to be eager to succeed, and the leadership perspective. We should understand the ego differently.
I guess to clarify, the ego from what I meant in terms of ego was they're doing a startup because they want to be a CEO of a company, or they want to raise millions and just say, I've raised millions.
Yes.
Right.
I guess it's just to clarify.
That one is totally. I
agree.
see that. You're like, no.
And then let's talk about the returns. Returns. And what kind of return that overseas VCs typically expect? Shaun, you go first.
I mean, look, it's very industry specific, stage specific.
Yeah, of course.
I think as a rule of thumb in the UK or / Europe, I think anywhere between 3 to 5x return on our investment would be deemed a pretty good investment, especially post 2021, COVID, etc. So yeah.
We're still looking for 10x, right? We're really looking to get that outsized return, but also we're making a lot of bets. So our strategy requires a high return, and we're willing to make a lot of bets and hoping to get a unicorn. But we're looking for each one of those that they could potentially get to that level.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm looking for the unicorns too, but I think it's the thresholds, which is, I think, interestingly quite different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I could feel investors' ego hearing 10x. Yeah.
Right.
And I see, are there any exceptions? Let's say you decide to invest and you decide to invest even though the expected return is lower than your standard. Yeah. So what's the reason behind it when it happens?
So absolutely. We have two different funds. We have a strategic fund and a nonlinear fund. So our strategic fund is for LP strategic investments. And there we're really looking to just return the fund at a 3x, 5x. On the nonlinear fund, we're looking for financial investments, returns for the LPs in that fund, and we're looking for much larger returns. So it depends a little bit of where we're looking at, because there are definitely, for example, if you're doing anything around data centers, come talk to me. Right now I have a lot of interest and a lot of demand around that from my LPs.
Do you have any additional comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're solving a problem that is kind of beyond making money as a business, let's just say, if you're doing something to save the planet in a sense, or something that's a bit bigger, doing charitable work, or something like that, I think the tolerance potentially could come down. Yeah.
I see. Next question is, when showing the evidence of attraction to US or European VCs, so what data matters most to them, and how should founders present it?
Leading indicators. If you're at an early stage, so I'm looking for leading indicators in that you understand what is going to drive revenue or adoption or whatever it is. So whether or not daily active users is usually pretty bad unless you're doing something that's like highly sticky or you're trying to do a platform. I'm looking for things that are in ratios, right? So I always want to see a ratio. I never want to see a cumulative number. That's not particularly interesting. I'm trying to understand, you know what the car dashboard is in front of you, that you have a speedometer, your revolutions per minute, and so on. I don't want to see the odometer necessarily.
I think the key one for me, and representative of the geographical area that I'm in, is revenue. I think revenue is key. If you can't prove revenue, then how are you going to make money at this point in time? Of course, if you're super early, you won't have any revenue. But then show me or us, how are you going to get to revenue? What are the metrics that get you to revenue? I think the other thing is to have metrics which are comparable potentially to other players in your industry or kind of adjacent industries. Look, I've been CFOs of startups, I've been there, I've tried to show the best numbers just because they look better. Hopefully most investors can look past that. So yeah, don't just show me the best month or your best revenue month and times that by 12. Show me a graph. Show me something different.
Yeah, I think that one of the things here is it tells a story. The metrics should tell a story as you're showing them. If it's all up and to the right, like cumulative revenue number graph, it's just, it doesn't mean anything. It's just vanity. It's always going to look the same. I want to understand, why was there a dip in the summer? Did you learn that there's seasonality to your product? What are you learning, and what can you tell me that you're learning from those metrics?
Yeah, and I think, just to add one thing, don't be afraid to show bad graphs. There's a reason, and if you can show the investor that, look, this was bad, we did something, and we learned a lot, and that's going to prevent these dips being bigger in the future, show it. Just be honest. Why not?
Absolutely, and I think that sort of transparency builds trust, and it's telling a story again, because you might have had a dip. That's okay. Maybe you learned. What did you learn about it? Or maybe that's where you need help from that investor.
Yeah.
Founders provide your backup stories, yeah, and the reasons. Yeah, I think it's an interpreting skill. Yeah, even though whatever it is, the number can be small, yeah, and low, yeah, but it doesn't matter if you have proper logic or strong stories behind it.
I love this topic, and in one area, if you're looking at more deep tech, where you're not going to be showing revenue, let's say for the first 5 years of your business, what we're looking at there is that you have POCs or engagements with your clients, and you're understanding within that agreement what are the metrics that matter to drive your client's business goals. So, and I want those POC agreements to look almost identical to each other, so that they're telling this story. Because you can be, if you're making large payload scale drones, for example, you might be 7 years out before you ever get a real check. But you can show traction through conditional purchase orders. You can show traction through POC agreements, wait lists, and things like that. We want to see, though, that there's skin in the game and that there's an actual contract in place.
Yeah, it's important. Which metrics you're gonna tracking, yeah, and then you present to investors. Yeah, that's ability, yeah, of the teams. Yeah, it's a good point. And okay, and let me move to the pitching part. Yeah. And how should founders adapt their pitching style for US and European VCs? Yeah. Could you tell us you witnessed in your region?
Yeah, I'll go first. I spoke to a lot of Korean founders. They are very smart people and potentially know their business, obviously. But there is an assumption that I also know your business as well as you do. Now, I will never know your business as well as you do, nor how could I, right? I think what you have to do is to seed confidence in the investor. You have to give me confidence that even though I'm not an expert in this field or your specific product, that any logical questions that I may have, that you're able to firstly answer them and keep answering them, so that you keep giving me confidence that that graph that you show, inevitably show that you are going to be a unicorn in 5 years' time, could be remotely possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I think one big thing in the States, and I see this, especially in Silicon Valley, has its own very distinct format of pitching. A lot of Korean founders will pitch talking about their team at the very first. And they'll get deep into the team's details and the team's qualifications. That's important, but usually I want to first understand, this is a problem, whose problem is this? And that you deeply understand the problem. Because at an early stage, you'll probably pivot 5 or 6 times. I actually usually don't care about your technical solution, not at the initial stage. I'm going to care about the technical solution later, meaning in a second meeting. So if you spend a lot of time telling me exactly how your product works or giving a product demo, I just don't care particularly. And so that's a big thing that I see Korean founders when they're coming to the States, that it falls short. And they spend a lot of time in that technical information, showing their expertise in their solution. but not on the client side and on the customer side and how it's solving a customer problem. So I want to hear a story and a narrative within that pitch.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think, look, at the end of the day, people investing are humans, and this is a human interaction. And I think interaction being the key word. It's not it's called a pitch, but you need to build that relationship to then build confidence and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I agree. It's not necessarily about what exactly you do, but it's the why you started it. It's what problem you're going to solve. Tell a story. Yeah.
Another thing is top-down market analysis is please try to do a bottom-up market analysis. Try to really understand from the bottom up what the market sizing is, as opposed to some number from a McKinsey graph that you found on the internet. We understand the size. Also, often on a TAM, we're looking at what's that TAM going to be in 5 years, not right now. So if I'm doing it for right now, that might be interesting, but it's probably a red ocean. It's what's that TAM in 5 years, and is there blue ocean for you to thrive in?
I definitely agree with you guys, yeah. And I insist to my teams, yeah, every day, yeah. So this is very critical and very practical advices, yeah, for you guys, yeah, founders. And from my observation, yeah, pitching time in US is much shorter than Korea and Japan, yeah. Yeah, here in Korea, as a Korean, I grew up here and I'm working here. We tend to have sit down and minimum 1 hour meeting, yeah, and we review a much more detailed IR deck compared to US and Europe. Yeah, I'd like to add that. So.
Yeah, I think on that pitching time, it's pitch competitions are maybe a way of getting an award or getting some attention, but pitching to an investor, it's more of a conversation that you're trying to start. And you're trying to build that conversation and understand what that relationship is. Most, on first screen, it's probably 15 minutes total time. Second will probably be 30 minutes, and you might get an hour maybe at the final.
It's getting, much more. And I'd like to add that you mentioned the conversation. It's really important. The pitch deck, in my experience, the pitch deck was not that good. The pitching was so-so, but the founder, when we threw the questions and the founder have concrete answers, it's success.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna invest.
Exactly.
Time's up. Time's ticking. And maybe this is the last question. What factors beyond the pitch itself are important for building successful relationship with investors in US and Europe?
Be involved in the community. So by this, if you're coming to Silicon Valley and you just want to talk to Bessemer or A16, that's going to be really, really hard. Now, if you come and you start meeting other founders, participate in hackathons, get to know the people that are in that area, then those relationships open up a lot better. So by that, what I'm really getting at is to build the relationships with the VCs, start building the relationships with the tech community in the specific area that you're in. And that's going to go for a lot. And follow up.
Yeah, I think start early is the key. Start early. I think there is it's a European/UK thing. You're not gonna get a yes after 2 meetings. If you start now, tell the investor what metrics you're gonna prove over to that investor in the next 6 months or 12 months. Check in at 3 months, check in at 6 months. And then if you can show the investor that, look, I said my revenue will get to £100,000 and I got it to £120,000, great. Then you give the confidence to the investor that when you say you're going to get to 10 million in 3 years' time, okay, fine, you might not get to 10 million, but at least you give the confidence you might get to 7 or 8. So start early. Yes, in terms of networking, great, but I don't know, it's like a British/Commonwealth thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know too much about networking and how much that would actually affect the ability of you getting investment from a particular VC.
I think for me, it's getting the foot in the door and getting into that area where you get invited to the right places, where you're actually able to meet somebody in a more informal session. One thing is things like YC, like Alchemist, can be great ways of actually getting in there and getting within that community, and also spending time in country. That's a huge one.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can't stress enough. If you want investment from a UK VC and you're trying to do that from here, no chance, because they have 1,000 startups they can invest in over there, right? So do that. I think the one thing I might add is be confident, and yeah, just be confident, because the amount of times where, yes, English is not your first language. Everyone understands that, right? No one expects you to have perfect English, but just be confident, and just give some energy.
Yeah, and I completely can't emphasize that enough. English might not be your first language. Don't worry about it. You can butcher English like nobody's business, especially in Silicon Valley, and nobody will care. Over 50% of unicorn founders are international, from all over the world, from India, from China, Israel, Russia, over 50%. And there is a wild accents, and trust me, so many Korean people have excellent, excellent English. It's way better than you think it is. Much better than my Korean.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought of one last thing. I think Koreans are not very good at this. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't think it's bothering anyone. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? What, they don't help you, fine. But they probably will, because everyone likes to help other people. I'd like to think, anyway. So ask for help, please.
Yeah, thank you for your warm advices to Korean founders. So, do you have additional comments for Korean founders who are knocking the door of U.S.?
Yeah, in coming to the U.S., one thing that the bar is really high, and I want people to really understand exactly how high that bar is. There are things that are incredible within the Korean ecosystem. There's incredible talent. There is a lot to be proud about and a lot of reasons to start getting success. Think very carefully about where you fit into what ecosystem. Okay, if you're working within semiconductor, who are the people that you should start to talk to within that ecosystem in the US? If you're working in different areas of AI ML right now, what are the repositories or open source areas that are active? What are the communities that are active? How can you get engaged in those? Because the investor community, especially in Silicon Valley, comes up from the tech community. And there's a lot of links back and forth.
I mean, yeah, I think one thing potentially is you have to be prepared to answer the question as to why that particular UK or EU VC is so lucky to have met you, right? Why has the well-known funds not talked to you? Why are you talking to me? Like, why am I so lucky to have only found you, right? Because if you're so great, there should be 10 VCs on your doorstep. So, yeah, just be prepared to answer that question.
Yeah, time's up. So Yeah, I hope you picked up some useful tips and insights about the US and European investment market. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, and huge thanks to Laurent and Shaun, for sharing their knowledge. Yeah, and wishing you all the best with your global fundraising journey. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, see you next time.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.